No one inside ADX Florence ever expected that a place built to hide the darkest secrets in America would one day have a secret of its own, one so shocking that it pushed the prison into complete lockdown. It all started late at night, when Officer Daniel Brooks walked the echoing hallway of Range 13, the most restricted wing in the entire Supermax. Every door was sealed, every inmate locked inside a steel box. Nothing in that place was supposed to move without permission. But on that night, something moved. Daniel froze when his flashlight beam caught a shadow slipping across the wall, slow, like someone dragging themselves along the concrete. He knew every inmate was locked down. He had personally checked the doors. No one could be outside. No one should even be standing near the door. Yet something was there, staring at him through the tiny slot of cell 13. Except cell 13 was supposed to be empty. His heart hammered so hard he felt it in his teeth. He stepped forward, shaking, raised his light, and the shadow leaned closer, too close, as if waiting for him. Daniel whispered, "Who's in there?" And then, from the darkness inside the cell, a voice answered in a low, broken whisper. "Help me. They are hiding something." Daniel stumbled back, terrified. He looked at his roster. Cell 13 had been cleared years ago, sealed off during an internal incident. No inmate had been placed there since. Yet someone was inside, or something. And as he watched, the slot slowly slid shut by itself, as if a hand had pulled it closed. Before he could call for backup, all the lights on the entire range slammed off at once, drowning everything in black. The steel doors hummed, electricity flickering through the building. The alarms that usually screamed during a breach stayed silent. ADX itself went quiet, so quiet that Daniel heard what sounded like breathing behind him. He wasn't alone anymore. And that was the moment ADX Florence began to reveal something it never wanted the public to see. Something that had been buried deep in the walls for years. Something that was never reported, never written down, and never meant to escape. And as the darkness swallowed him, Daniel realized he might not escape either. To understand how everything reached that terrifying moment, we have to go back, way back, before the lights went out, before Cell 13 whispered, before Daniel Brooks found something he was never supposed to find. It started months earlier, when Daniel was still new to ADX Florence and believed everything the public was told, that the prison was unbreakable, safe, controlled, and perfectly run. But he was wrong. And mistakes inside ADX were not accidents, they were warnings. On Daniel's first day, he was shocked by how quiet the prison was. No yelling, no sounds of shuffling feet, no clanging from the steel doors. Just silence, cold and heavy. The inmates lived in rooms the size of small bathrooms, locked down 23 hours a day, with meals shoved through slots. Daniel thought the silence meant safety. He would learn later that silence inside ADX meant something else, pressure building up, waiting for the perfect moment to explode. His first week passed without major issues. He learned the routines, the routes, the radio codes. ADX ran like a machine. Strict schedules, strict orders, strict everything. But Daniel noticed something strange. Every officer avoided Range 13. If someone asked about it, they'd get the same answer. Maintenance wing. Do not enter. But Daniel saw things that didn't match that story. Sometimes, two high-level officials would disappear inside the range with files under their arms. Sometimes, a medical team walked in looking worried but came out looking pale. And once, just once, Daniel heard a scream from behind the sealed hallway door. A scream that didn't sound like any inmate. Something was wrong there. Daniel mentioned it to Officer Helen Martin, one of the older guards. She pulled him into an empty room, shut the door, and whispered, "Listen to me and listen good. ADX has things you don't question. Range 13 is one of them. Don't ask again." But the warning only made him more curious. The next night, Daniel couldn't sleep. His mind kept replaying that scream, the kind that didn't sound like anger or fear, but pain. Deep, terrible pain. So he decided to look deeper. He stayed late, checking old logs, old rosters, old reports. Nothing mentioned Range 13 at all. Not even its square footage. It was like the wing didn't exist. But Daniel found one strange thing. A single name. Marcus Hale. He wasn't on the official inmate list. He wasn't on the transfer lists. He wasn't on any disciplinary reports. But Daniel found his name stamped on a sealed folder locked behind glass. The file was marked with red ink. Level 6, do not release. Daniel didn't know what Level 6 was. He knew the highest security level for inmates was Level 5. That meant Level 6 wasn't for inmates. It was for something else. Something ADX didn't want anyone to see. Despite all the warnings, Daniel kept digging. He asked quiet questions. He checked duty logs from years back. He listened during late-night conversations between older guards. And slowly, he started to piece together a story whispered in fear. That ADX Florence once held someone the public never knew about. Not a criminal with a name, not someone from the news. Someone the government kept off every record. Someone who never went to court. Someone who disappeared into Range 13 when ADX first opened. And according to the pieces Daniel found, that person never left. One night, weeks before everything fell apart, Daniel decided to check Range 13 himself. He didn't step inside, he only walked near the door to listen. And to his surprise, he heard tapping from far down the hallway. 3 taps, silence, 3 more. Like someone trying to send a message. He stepped closer. The tapping stopped. Then a whisper floated through the metal door. Help, help, help. Daniel ran. He didn't know what was in there, but he knew he wasn't ready to face it. Not yet, but the fear stuck with him. It crawled under his skin and didn't let go. And every day after that, the feeling grew worse, like the walls were watching him. Soon, other things began to happen. Lights flickering, cameras glitching, doors unlocking by themselves. Daniel tried to tell his supervisors, but they brushed him off. Technical issues, they said. But Daniel didn't believe them. It felt like someone, or something, was testing the prison, checking its weaknesses one by one. Then came the night that changed everything. The night Daniel found Cell 13 occupied. The night the lights went out. The night ADX Florence stopped pretending. And the secret buried for years finally pushed its way back into the present. Because when the power died and Daniel heard breathing behind him, he wasn't hearing an inmate. He was hearing the thing ADX Florence didn't want the public to see. Daniel spun around to shine his flashlight, but a hand, cold, thin, and impossibly pale, pressed against his chest and shoved him backward. He crashed into the wall, the air knocked out of him. His flashlight rolled across the floor, flickering weakly. In the dim glow, Daniel saw a shape crawling toward him. Not walking, crawling on hands and elbows like something that hadn't stood upright in years. The figure whispered again, voice cracking. They locked me here, help me. Daniel scrambled backward, terrified. His radio flickered with static. He tried to call for backup, but the line was dead. The figure crawled closer, dragging metal cuffs still attached to its wrists. Its breathing was ragged, like each breath hurt. Then, as the shape lifted its head, Daniel saw its face, or what was left of it. Eyes sunken deep, skin ghost white, hair falling out in patches. Someone who looked like they hadn't seen sunlight in decades. Someone who should not still be alive. Someone ADX had hidden. Someone ADX forgot. The figure opened its mouth to speak again, but before it could, every alarm in the building suddenly exploded at once, loud, blaring, shaking the walls. Red lights flashed. Steel doors slammed shut. And the crawling figure turned its head toward the sound, pupils shrinking as if the alarms triggered something terrible inside it. Then, suddenly, it lunged at Daniel with inhuman speed. And that was the moment ADX Florence's darkest secret broke free from the shadows. The thing from Cell 13 launched itself at Daniel so fast he barely had time to throw his arms over his face. It hit him like a freezing wave, knocking him flat on his back. Its hands were cold, so cold they stung like ice, and its nails scraped across his uniform as if trying to hold onto him. Daniel kicked, twisted, and shoved until he rolled away and scrambled onto his hands and knees. Red alarms kept flashing, making the hallway blink like a broken heartbeat. For a moment, the creature froze, staring at the lights like they were burning its eyes. Daniel didn't waste time. He ran. He sprinted down the hallway, shoes slipping on the polished concrete, heart slamming against his ribs. Behind him, he heard dragging footsteps, fast ones. The creature wasn't crawling anymore. It was learning, changing, getting stronger. Help! Daniel shouted into the radio as he ran. I need backup, range breach, something's loose. His words were swallowed by static. The power system was failing. Suddenly, a steel gate slammed down just inches in front of him. Daniel skidded to a stop so hard his knees almost gave out. He slammed both hands against the barrier. No, 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 open, open. Nothing happened. Behind him, the footsteps slowed. He turned around slowly, chest heaving, as the creature stepped into the glowing red emergency light. Now Daniel could see it clearly. It wasn't a monster. It was a man. Or what used to be one. thin bones pressing against skin, lips cracked and dry, cuffs on both wrists, rusted around the edges like they had been there for decades. His face looked both old and young, like time had twisted him instead of aging him. He stood crooked, like his spine wasn't used to holding weight. And then he spoke, voice sharp but breaking. "You're not supposed to be here." Daniel swallowed hard. Who are you?" The man blinked, slowly, as if the movement hurt. "I don't remember my name," he whispered. "They took it from me." Daniel felt a chill climb up his spine. This wasn't a normal inmate. This wasn't someone the prison lost track of. This was someone the prison erased. "Why are you here?" Daniel asked carefully. The man shook his head. "I tried to warn them. I tried to tell them what was happening in this place. They buried me instead. Buried me alive." Daniel's blood ran cold. "You were in that cell for how long?" The man's voice cracked. "Since the day ADX opened." Daniel felt sick. ADX opened in 1994. That meant this man had been inside for over 30 years. No sunlight, no voice, no name. The man lifted his hands, showing the cuffs. Only these. The alarms suddenly changed pitch. A different alarm. One Daniel had never heard before. A deep, slow horn that shook the floor. The man panicked. He grabbed Daniel's arm. "They're coming," he gasped. "The black team. They're coming for you. They can't let you see me. They'll erase you too." Daniel pulled away. Who's the black team? But he already knew that answer. ADX Florence had a rumored internal squad, off the record, never documented, never named. A team that handled situations that were never supposed to happen. Some guards whispered about them late at night. Daniel never believed they were real. Not until the hallway lights went pitch black. Not until he heard boots, heavy, synchronized, marching toward him from the far end of the corridor. The man staggered closer. "If they catch you with me, you disappear." Daniel's heart thundered. "What do you want from me?" he whispered. The man's voice turned urgent. "Help me get out. Help me show them what they've done. You saw the lights. You heard me. You know what they did. You can tell the world." Daniel stared at him. "I can't break you out of ADX Florence." The man leaned in closer until Daniel felt his cold breath. "You already did." Daniel froze. "What?" The man pointed up. "The blackout. You saw me in that cell. The system thinks you opened it. They'll blame you now. They'll say you helped me escape." Daniel shook his head violently. No, I didn't." "It doesn't matter," the man said softly. "You're a loose end now." Daniel heard the black team getting closer. Their boots were like thunder. He looked at the steel gate behind him. It was locked, unmoving, blocking his only exit. He was trapped. The man backed into the shadows again, blending into the darkness as if he had lived inside it for years. "You have one chance," he whispered. "Follow me. Before they see you. Before they take you. Before they erase you like they erased me." Daniel hesitated. His entire life, his job, his reputation, his future, hung on a knife edge. If he followed this mysterious man, he'd be a fugitive inside the most secure prison in America. If he stayed, he heard the black team chambering their weapons. If he stayed, he might never be seen again. Daniel made his choice. He followed the man into the darkness. The two of them moved quickly, ducking behind pillars, slipping between shadows, using the confusion of the blackout to stay out of sight. Daniel kept glancing behind him, terrified that the black team would appear at any second. "What is this place?" Daniel whispered. The man didn't answer. He grabbed Daniel's wrist and pulled him behind a maintenance corridor Daniel had never noticed. A section with no cameras. No alarms. As if it didn't exist on any blueprint. The man pressed his ear to a panel on the wall, then slammed his fist against it 3 times. The metal door hissed, then slowly cracked open. Daniel stared. Behind the panel was a staircase leading down, much deeper than any level he knew about. "That's not supposed to exist," Daniel whispered. The man's voice was low. "Nothing down here is." They descended quickly. The stairs felt endless. Damp. Cold. The deeper they went, the more Daniel felt like he was stepping into the bones of the earth. Finally, they reached a hallway completely different from the rest of ADX. No steel doors. No cameras. No lights except a single flickering bulb. "What is this?" Daniel asked. "A place built for secrets," the man said. "Before ADX was finished, they made a lower level. A place for experiments. For testing isolation. For breaking people." Daniel's stomach twisted. "Experiments." The man said nothing. He simply pointed. At the end of the hallway were dozens of sealed metal crates. Some dented. Some scratched from the inside. All of them locked with thick chains. Daniel stepped closer, heart pounding. He reached out and wiped dust from the first crate. Behind the dust was a name plate. A name he recognized. A name that should have never been inside ADX. A name that made his skin crawl. He reached for the next crate. And the next. Every crate had a name. Names the government had declared dead. Names the government had declared missing. Names that the public believed were long gone. All sealed away. All hidden. All forgotten. What is this? Daniel breathed. The man's voice cracked. This is what ADX Florence doesn't want the public to see. Suddenly, a booming crash shook the hallway above them. The black team had found the hidden stairwell. Boots pounded downward like a stampede. Daniel turned toward the stairs. The man grabbed his arm. If they get down here, they won't let either of us out alive. Daniel looked around desperately. Where do we go? The man pointed at a huge steel vault door at the far end of the hall. Through there. Daniel ran toward it, but before he reached it, something slammed against the other side. Something big. Something awake. Something locked inside. The metal groaned. Then bent. Daniel froze in terror as a massive hand punched through the steel door from the inside.